Hello everyone. Today we will be learning how to use John the Ripper to crack password hashes. So this tutorial will be consisting of cracking password hashes, some using salts, and that is with John the Ripper. And I'll be using Kali Linux for this presentation. This tool comes standard on Kali, which makes that a little bit easier, but you can also install on any Linux operating system the John the Ripper tool. So just a little rundown on how this works and how password hashes and cracking works. So most websites don't store your password in plain text. So if you had a password like CatDog, it's not going to be stored as CatDog. It'll be stored as, some long encrypted value. So for instance, like when you log into Facebook and you use your name, or most sites for that matter, when you use your username, that can be stored in plain text, and then the password will be translated into a hash. And then what John the Ripper does is it builds matching hashes to plain text, and then it runs against that dictionary or those processes that it creates and sees if it can match its password hash dump to to what the dump is that you guys are pulling from another site or from from some file. So pretty much password hashes can be stored in different ways and different encryptions. Commonly in my password dump here, there's MD5, DES, NTLM. Password cracking can get fairly complex, but mainly starts with using a word list of hashes, each word, and it compares it against that hash and that user is trying to crack. This is what would be considered like a dictionary attack or brute force dictionary attack. The dictionary not only has a large list of words, but also has passwords that are used commonly with password dumps. So like a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. And here I'll show you. There's a few different things you can get here, but pretty much just it's using very simple things here. People can use very weak passwords. So it's building those, and then it also builds a dictionary as well. So what we're going to do here is John the Ripper works in like three different ways. It runs three different forms of stages of attacks or cracks that it tries to accomplish. So we're going to go over each one of those. But what I did was I already ran a lot of these commands just to make it easier because some of these can take some time. So just so you know, I'm not wasting your time sitting here waiting for my computer to crack these. Your computer may be quicker. So pretty much what we're going to do, um, I downloaded a bunch of hash values from this site. It's pretty useful here. CoreLogic. So they used to have like competitions for cracking these hash values. I'll go ahead and post this link too in the description of the video, but you just want to go ahead right here and download the challenge data file bundle, and that gave me this file right here. It comes compressed. You just have to extract all of these. So these are all the different ones that they have. For the purpose, I just did this hash file right here because it was a little bit smaller. Gave me a good variety of things to show for the video, just for basic understanding. Um, so we have this. So go ahead, you'll download that. And then we also need the word list, right? So we have all these hashes. They look like this, right? So right here on the left, we have the username, and then this is the password, but it's the hash. So we have no idea what this is. It's encrypted. Um, so what's really neat about Kali Linux, there's already a word list hidden in Kali Linux, which is kind of neat. So this is hidden under the root user share and then word lists. So it's right here, and it consists of a ton of words. I think it's around it, it's got to be around a billion or so words. There are a basic amount of words that come in the John the Ripper suite that you can use, but this one built into Kali Linux has a bit more, so it's a little more precise. It also will help just find passwords easier. There is online other sites that has, like there's one here. I have CrackStation. This has one. I think this is like 14 gigs. Yeah, it's about 15 gigs uncompressed, and this one has like 1.5 billion. So the one on Linux has a good amount, and I think it's a good one to start with. This one just is, this is fairly this is overkill. Unless you really need a high percentage of passwords, you may only need 5% success rate of all the passwords you try to crack, and that might be enough to access a system. So it really depends on what you're trying to use and what you're trying to accomplish. So the dictionary not only has, like I said, the list of commonly used passwords, but it has also salts with it as well. And pretty much what happens with salts when a password's stored, right? If a person uses like the word password, okay, the hash will look exactly the same. So if you see multiple hashes, I mean, any of these could be that. But if you see that same hash value repeat over and over again, and someone gets it, that's kind of poor security, because then you could just match the hash. You could just compare and see what it is. So the salt just kind of re-encrypts it as well to make it a little different. So it will be just a little different each time. So once you have these passwords and this word bank that we got here, I moved it over into my file. So the RockU from Linux, I moved from the directory that we had here. I'll show you. So from user, I just took this. Now you also have to unzip this, and you can't do it with a normal like tar command. So you have to use gunzip command, and that'll unzip all those plain text dictionary right here, and then we can go ahead and get started. So as I was saying previously, there's kind of like three stages that John the Ripper runs in order to, I guess, crack the password. So first, what it tries to accomplish is it tries to run. Let's see here. It tries to do like a single crack mode. They refer to it as, and pretty much what that does, it takes, like, say the password was we'll just go with the word bird, right? So a bird, and what it does, it takes bird and it shows it in lowercase, it shows it in uppercase, it puts some numbers with it, it could put a few dashes with it, it could put equal signs, parentheses, it can change some letters in the middle to capital letters. But it kind of uses the same, just a very simple word, and just keeps morphing it, I guess. And then the second stage, you'll run against the word list. So it'll try to use all the commonly used ones. You'll try to use dictionaries, and that'll use from our word list dump that we have here that we got from Kali. And then third, finally, it does an incremental try to incremental crack, and that initially could actually take forever, because it's a form of a brute force style, and that will keep trying higher and higher password lengths, so it can keep going. And again, depending on your computer, could take days and weeks to crack. So what we're gonna do is it's right here. I moved it onto my desktop. So this was the password hash files that we got from the data file bundle. And these are a bunch of different ones. You guys can play around with different ones. For this video, though, we're using hashes 3 with a DES encryption. And what we're going to do is simply just go to that path. So I had it on my desktop. This is the file of all the extracted hash dumps, and you just type the word John, and then followed by the file name. It's file name and John. So once you do that to initiate John the Ripper, it's going to print out some information on what it reads from the hash dump file. So what does it see here? It sees that it detected 10,297 password hashes with 3,741 different salts. The encryption type rather, is DES 128, and it's going to start now trying to brute force through all these passwords. Okay, so for example, right, we'll use this first one. This user's name was Ron Thompson. Ron Thompson used an awful password. He just used, his username pretty much, or his name, and I'll show you here. This is kind of neat. So we're just going to do that, and we're going to search, right? So his username was Ron Thompson, right? So we have Ron Thompson here, and then the password was saved as this hash value, and that hash value then equals Ron Tom. Okay, so fairly easy password to crack. All these passwords right here, when this was running, this took seconds or minutes. I was not waiting around very long for these. So it goes through. Again, we can take another one here. So we got David T. A lot of Davids. Yep. So David T. Again, this is the value. And that's what he had for his password. So that's kind of straightforward. These people used bad passwords that were easy to crack. So, for your own safety, you should use a more secure password. And I'll show you an example here. So as we go further down, you can also click or just press the enter key or any key really for the most part, and it'll give you a readout. If it's on one or it's stuck on one for a while, it'll tell you how long it was working on it. It'll also show like what stage it was on. So like, okay, so these went fairly quick, right? But these, so this one right here that we're looking at, while this was running, I kept checking this 7 minutes, 8 minutes, these went so fast that 10 minutes was long, right? And this person used a very poor password as well, but it may have been, further down to the dictionary that it took a little longer for it to find this exact word. But this is, again, from the same password dump. It shows you some other information, how far along it is, how many tries it's done for certain hash values, certain encryptions. But this one is really cool. So eventually, then this one took 19 minutes to do. This one ran for a while, taking 34 minutes, and I can show you why. So Alan Richards here was a little bit smarter, and most websites now, they require you to put a number in your password or an uppercase value, because look how much longer this took, right? So this user had two numbers, even though they were the same, which isn't the smartest, but at least he had the numbers in here. This took over 34 minutes compared to if you go further up, just simple plain text. There's even ones with just one number, and those went fairly quick. But such a difference you see using multiple numbers. Eventually, too, this one was going for 42 minutes. I ended up just canceling it. I didn't want to go through all the hash values. So that's a big point, right? So if you make a password really secure, and the person that's trying to hack it doesn't want to wait, right? So he's got a whole, say, all of a sudden some website that you normally use gets hacked, and he's going through, using a tool like John the Ripper to get these passwords, and your password is taking him, 2 days. He's not even gonna wait that long. He's not gonna wait the 42 minutes. He wants all the quick ones he wants the easy ones. He doesn't want to spend a lot of time. He could get, look how many we got here within, just a few minutes. We got a whole handful, which, is probably, you don't need to hack all the hashes, right? The goal is mostly just to get enough to get access to a system. And I mean, that's really the goal. So, really, really work on making your passwords more secure, just by doing something that you can remember, something that doesn't require you to write it down, but something that, has a mix of symbols and uppercase letters. But other than that, that's just a simple usage of John the Ripper, just a breakdown of how it works. Just a simple command that you run. Again, just John, and you can play around with all the different hash values from that site. If you want to do more intense wordless, you could download this 50 gig or 15 gig file, but it may take some time to go through those. But other than that, I appreciate your time watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit, and have a fun time out there cracking. Bye bye.